Ragin Cajuns baseball finishes the regular season by taking 2 of 3 from the number 20 team in the country, and that secures them a spot in the Sun Belt Conference tournament. Let's talk about it here on Ragin Rundown. What's good, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into another episode of Ragin Rundown, the show where you will know all things UL sports. I'm your guy, Jamarcus Fitzpatrick, but you can always call me Fitz. And on today's rundown, we will be recapping the Ragin Cajuns baseball team's series victory over Coastal Carolina. We will talk about where they stand in the Sun Belt Conference tournament, the seeding that they earned, and then we will talk about the path that they need to take here in the postseason to earn a NCAA regional bid. So as we always do, we'll go through each game with some game flow. We'll talk about some of the guys that really stood out in this series overall, and then we'll move forward with everything else in the show. So coming into this series, the Cajuns really needed to be able to win this game because you were based on a lot of predictions from sites like D1 Baseball and Baseball America, had you as the last or the first four out instead of the last four in. Texas State, which was the team that you were swept by earlier in the season, was the team that got that final spot in based on a lot of predictions. And so getting this series victory would essentially closely solidify you as a bubble team. But like what I've said in previous episodes, I believe that the Cajuns need to win the conference tournament to leave no doubt. Like we'll talk more about the actual path that could happen, that could still get them in. But in my opinion, I do believe that instead of hoping and wishing and wondering, leave no doubt, leave no stone unturned, which we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. So coming in, the Cajuns had a 32-20 record, and they were 14-13 in conference, which was, I believe, was around sixth place in the Sun Belt standings. I don't have them pulled back up in front of me. And you were taking on a Coastal Carolina program that we know historically has played really, really good baseball, that you've also been able to win games against. So it proves that this was a winnable series. And I had talked about previously that their Achilles heel within the past couple of weeks had been game threes of the season. The past 5 weeks, now 6, they had lost their game threes in the series, including the series loss that they took to ODU. So game 1 was on the Thursday night. Thursday, Friday, Saturday was this series, and Louisiana was able to come out and pick up a 7-2 victory. The Cajuns punched Coastal in the mouth early. They took a 5-0 lead and completely changed the tone of things. Offensively, they executed when they had runners on base, and it was one of the more complete games that we've seen from this team this season. There have been several instances where we've seen complete outings where we've had great pitching and you've seen them get an early start offensively. This was one that was another one in the mix for sure. You had an early RBI production that put pressure on Coastal immediately. Donovan LaSalle had a 2-run double that opened things up for you, and it kind of skied deep into the right field and just hung down the line to stay in. And Louisiana added insurance runs later in the night. Coastal only broke through with a 2-run homer later in the game, but the Cajuns answered immediately, and they were able to close the door shut to pick up the 7-2 victory. I already mentioned his name, but Donovan LaSalle played a heck of a game. He had a huge 2-run double, like I mentioned. He controlled the middle of the lineup and set an emotional tone early. When you're able to have moments like that can get the crowd behind you, that can score runs, that can, build up a lead, that builds that confidence to believe, all right, now we believe that we can do this. Now we're actually getting it done here in the game. Now let's finish it off. Noah Lewis continues to be a steady table setter for you as a freshman, whether that's just him being able to be disciplined behind the plate and getting on by being walked, or reaching, with, a bunt or single, getting on. And once he gets on first, the likelihood of him stealing is very, very high. And he is going to give you a good chance to get an extra base to then set you up to have a runner in scoring position. So he had an RBI knock late, had multiple quality at bats, and he was a catalyst for you offensively all weekend long. Liamade, the senior, continues to be a constant for you. He had an RBI single. He brought out pressure hits and extended innings for you when you needed to be able to continue to put pressure on Coastal Carolina. From a pitching standpoint, Cody Brash, in my opinion, had one of his best outings of the season, especially in the starts that he's had. It was his fourth start of the season. He went 6 innings. He had 7 strikeouts, and just made it really, really tough for Coastal to be able to get anything going offensively. And then on the back half of the bullpen, Parker Smith and Hayden Pearson handled things. Parker Smith did give up the 2-run homer. But other than that, you were just about as clean as you could be. You had just 1 walk, 2 hit by pitches, and 2 earned runs and 3 hits on the night. So you kind of stymied the Chanticleer's offense to make it to where that offensive pressure that you provided made it a balanced attack for you. So this was Louisiana baseball at its best. You had pitching, pressure, offense, and situational execution, which has been a recipe for success for them. The thing has been trying to get it more consistently, but they get it done. They take the game 1 victory. So game 2 comes around, and Coastal responds in a big way. They threw out what is a top 10 projected pitcher in Cameron Fluke, and he made it difficult for them. Coastal reminded them why they were a top 20 team. The Cajuns offense really never found any rhythm. They had missed opportunities in the game, and Coastal Carolina made sure that them missing those opportunities, they were able to capitalize on them not being able to handle their business. So, like I mentioned, Cameron Fluke was really strong for you out the gate, as he would go 4 innings, having just 2 hits, no earned runs, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. And then on the back end, Darren Horn comes in. He goes 5 innings, gives up 2 hits, 1 walk, and strikes out 9. So again, it was just a tough night for the Cajuns offense trying to get anything going. You had an opportunity to be able to go ahead and handle the series in 2, but now you had to be able to go and get things done in the rubber match later down the line. For a pitching standpoint for Louisiana, it would be Andrew Herman to get the start. He went 4 2/3, gave up a hit and an earned run. He had 4 strikeouts but 4 walks. Sawyer Pruitt comes in and he gets thumped around just a little bit, or quite a bit. 7 hits, 5 earned runs coming in, 2 walks, and just 2 strikeouts for the freshman. He goes 4 innings in the process, and then Garrett Carter goes a third of an inning to close the game out. So that's a wash. You fall in this one, and so that sets up a very pivotal game 3 for you there on Saturday night. It was a regional type atmosphere, and the crowd was ruckus for sure. If I'm not mistaken, if I can see if I can go back and find what the total attendance was here on this PDF file. They normally will have it on there. If I can't find it, then I may mention it down in the show notes of this one. I can't see it on the PDF file right now, but judging from the broadcast and the way that the noise was brought in, Cajun Nation showed up big time in Game 3, and the Cajuns were able to feed off of that. They pick up a 3-2 victory, and they secure the series win there on Saturday. It was a tight, low-scoring battle, and Louisiana answered every push that Coastal brought across for you. And once again, your bullpen shoves at a on a high level for you to be able to pick up this victory. Ty Roman would be your starter in this one. And it's just been an interesting path for him. I mean, he comes in as a transfer. He was your original Friday night guy. He then gets moved to more of a midweek guy, and now he's assumed the role of your Sunday guy. So he has managed this situation, the ebbs and flows of this season as a pro, and he had one more great outing for you here in the regular season and your home and season finale, that is. He goes 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts on 72 pitches. After that, you saw Parker Smith and Hayden Pearson come in once again. They each go an inning, combining for 2 innings there, just 2 hits and 1 earned run and 2 strikeouts for the pair. And then Tyler Pappenbrock comes in and slams the door shut. He goes 2 innings, 1 hit, and a strikeout to close the game out officially. Hayden Pearson goes 21 pitches. Parker Smith goes 14 pitches. Tyler Pappenbrock goes 26 pitches. And it really was a phenomenal showing from these guys as Coastal musters just 6 hits and just 2 runs, and you were able to hold them off and pick up the victory in this one. From an offensive standpoint, you know, you saw once again Noah Lewis be a good table setter for you. Liamade once again doing it as well, going 2 for 4 and getting an RBI. Steven Spalita drove in a run, and then Donovan LaSalle also, like we talked about earlier, was big for you this weekend. He goes 1 for 3 and gets an RBI. I believe it was on a sac fly there in the 4th inning. Yes, on a deep sac fly that in any other ballpark potentially could have been out of the yard. Coach Diggs has talked about, you know, potentially bringing in the fencing there in the outfield, which we may do an episode on that later and here in the offseason. Y'all let me know if y'all want to hear more about that, because that's an intriguing topic that I've seen a lot of people have different perspectives in. So the Cajuns pick up a series victory over Coastal Carolina. So now the question kind of becomes, what can kind of be the run that you're going to make in Montgomery? Because you help yourself a ton. You boost your RPI. According to WarrenNolan.com, as of today, right now at 4:29 on Sunday, May the 17th of me recording this episode, you are 40th in the RPI rankings. And like I mentioned, you know, you were a bubble team, the last 4 or first 4 out in a lot of projections. So you're in a position now where you may or may not get in because of some of the things that happened to you earlier in the season. We're going to talk about some of those things. We're going to talk about where the Cajuns are in the Sun Belt Conference, the seeding that they earned in the tournament. We'll talk about the regional path right after this break. We'll talk about it all when we come back here on Ragin Rundown. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Ragin Rundown. We're going to get back into the action in just a second. But before we do, please do me a favor. If you're watching this video on YouTube, like it, share it, and leave a comment down below. But most importantly, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're listening, follow the podcast feed, rate the show, and leave us a review, because that's going to help us get in front of more Ragin Cajun fans just like yourself. So Louisiana closes out their 2026 regular season campaign with a 34-21 overall record. They finished 16-14 in the conference standings, which was tied with Texas State. So because of that, naturally, Texas State gets the tiebreaker because they swept them during the regular season, which earns them the number 7 seed. And now you have to play in a single elimination play-in game on Tuesday, which is what you wanted to avoid. You know, getting the sweep over Coastal would have been great, but getting the series helps you from an RPI standpoint to potentially be able to get the at-large bid later down the line. But you end up there with the 7 seed, and as a result, you're going to have to play that play-in game, like I mentioned, and you will get to do it on Tuesday against Marshall, who is the number 10 seed. That game will be on Tuesday, May 19th at 3 p.m. out there in Montgomery. So it's going to be a long and winding path for you to be able to try to win the tournament, first of all, and also be able to try to figure out how far you can go deep into the tournament, how you're going to manage it from a pitching standpoint, and all of those things like that. The simplest way to look at what the path will look like, because like I've said before, I believe Louisiana needs to win this tournament. That way there's no doubt left. Leave no stone unturned. Don't make the committee question and say, hey, this is what happened and this is why they shouldn't be in and all these things like that. Win the tournament, you're in. And you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to sweat when it comes to the selection show. So the easiest path to look at it, you will play Marshall first. And then that Wednesday, you will play either Coastal or USM again, 2 teams that you have beaten before, right? It's double elimination, so you have a little bit of wiggle room in case you do lose the game. But you've proven that you can beat them at least twice. You've proven that you can win a series against them. And so because of that, all you need is one opportunity to be able to get it done here in this double elimination tournament, depending on how things shake out. So beat Marshall to get in, then either beat Coastal or USM. After that, it would be either Texas State or App State. And then after that, you would get a day off on Friday. You would play in the semifinals on Saturday. And if you win that game, you play in the championship game on Sunday. So for me, I feel like I said, the team needs to win it all. But realistically speaking, if you can win those first three and get to the semifinals there on Saturday, I think you still get an NCAA regional bid because you will have done enough. That would be a third ranked victory over Coastal or USM Southern Miss, which are ranked teams. So that would be another ranked win here in the back half of the season. So that can help your resume for the committee. You will have beaten Marshall, which is on paper a team that you are supposed to beat. So you win the games that you're supposed to win, and then you win a big game that helps your resume a ton. And then App State or Texas State, again, teams that are close proximity to you in terms of RPI, that would help you a ton being able to get past that. How you manage that, you have to have great pitching early. And if I am Matt Deggs and company, I'm starting Cody Brash on Friday, or excuse me, on Tuesday, because he is your best option, and you don't continue to play if you don't win that game. You throw Cody Brash out. I would assume that if you do that, you're probably going to keep him on a pitch count to potentially save him for later in the tournament, right? Maybe the semifinal game on Saturday or the championship game on Sunday. We would have to see. I might be getting my days mixed up if I'm saying it out of turn. No, the championship game, yes, is on Sunday. Okay. Um, that's how I would see it. And then Saturday, you may see Andrew Herman, and then Sunday, I'm getting my days mixed up. Y'all, excuse me. I'm a little bit jet lagged from a trip that I took this past weekend. So Tuesday, you would see Cody Brash. Wednesday, I would think to see Andrew Herman, and then Thursday, I would think to see Ty Roman getting you the start. So that's how I think it would shake up, and then from there it's going to be on the back end guys, the Hayden Pearsons, the Parker Smiths, the Tyler Pappenbrocks, to see how they can be able to handle things on the back end. Obviously, you're going to have to get a good jump start offensively. You can't leave runners on. You can't leave runners stranded. You're going to have great plate discipline. You're going to have to attack it and have a good approach behind the plate to be able to drive in those runs, those base runners once you get them on base, and be able to score 2-3 runs in the first, 2-3 runs in the second to build up a lead. And then now you have great run support behind great pitching to go ahead and put the game away early on. So that is the path to winning the Sun Belt title. Like I mentioned, I think that getting to the semifinals gets you still in, but I don't think that you need to leave any doubt at all, because every game now feels like an elimination game. You know, any slip, right? If you slip against Marshall and you lose, I don't think you get in at all, because Marshall's RPI, if I can get it pulled up really quickly, um, Texas State is at 44, South Alabama is at 60. You beat LSU earlier, it's at 69. Dallas Baptist is at 71. Southeastern is at 74. So I'm still going. So you're talking about somewhere near the hundreds, unless I've overlooked them somewhere down the line. Either way, looking at it from that perspective, that would be a detrimental loss to you from an RPI standpoint. Okay, so I found Marshall is 179 in RPI. So if you lose that game in the single elimination, you're not getting the NCAA regional bid, no question. And as difficult as it seems, having this 16-14 record, there's a little bit of a butterfly effect that I want to look back at. There were just a handful of losses that, if they flip your way, and I know that this is not a coulda, woulda, shoulda situation. This is just a what if perspective looking at it, right? You play Missouri State to open the season, and you lose 2 out of 3 in that one. But in game 2, You were leading 10-3 going into the 8th. They end up outscoring you 10-2 in the final 4 innings, and you lose it. That victory alone could have boosted your RPI into the mid-30s because Missouri State has the 27th best RPI in the country. The Texas State sweep, I think, was exactly what puts you in this position where I believe you have to win the tournament. Because if you have that victory, instead of you being the first 4 out, you're maybe the last 4 in, or you're automatically getting that regional bid because of maybe a Missouri State victory, series victory that you have in there. The ULM and the JMU series really, really hurt you, and also the UNO loss. The ULM game in game 1, you had one big inning that lost it for you there in the 6th inning. And then for JMU, that game 2, you held a 5-3 lead and you end up falling 6-5. And then the UNO game, you walk 10 batters and you lose the game 9-6 in extra innings. So just a handful of things that really make the difference in having you in this position, and being the difference between a 7th seed and maybe potentially a 3rd or 4th seed, where you're not having to play on Tuesday and you're automatically put in the double elimination bracket. So the simplest path to an NCAA regional bid is to win the Sun Belt tournament. You get an automatic bid, it removes the doubt, and that's what I believe could be the most guaranteed route in a sense. The more complicated one is, again, if you reach the semifinals or the title game, but Coastal would have to keep playing some kind of way through there. So maybe if they come and double back after you beat them through the double elimination, through the losers bracket, if they can circle back and continue to stay high in the RPI, and then you need other help from around the country, teams that you've beaten, you need them to continue to win to keep boosting your RPI. The problems with that is obviously the 16-14 conference record makes it shaky for you. I think the Sun Belt may be a 4-team league that gets bids into the NCAA Regional. Obviously, Coastal and Southern Miss will get in. After that, you have a Troy, maybe. I've seen projections saying Troy. I saw a projection saying Troy, South Alabama. I also saw a projection that actually came out about 13 hours ago from AOL saying that Louisiana would get into the Starkville Regional. But because of all of these what ifs, that is why I believe that instead of trying to figure out whether you're going to get in or not, and hoping and wishing and crossing your fingers and all these different things like that, go out and play great baseball and win the thing. Go and keep winning games. Go as deep as you possibly can. Now, it's easier said than done, but I think that's truly what it's going to take because of some of the holes that you dug for yourself earlier in the season. So the Sun Belt Conference Tournament will begin on Tuesday. Louisiana has the first game against Marshall at 3 p.m. We'll be keeping our eyes on it. We will react to it. We will have coverage for it, all of those great things like that, as Louisiana tries to make a push towards getting back to the NCAA Regional after missing it last season. We'll be talking all about it here on Ragin Rundown. That's going to do it for this episode. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much. Please do me a favor, like it, share it, and leave a comment down below. But most importantly, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're listening, please follow the podcast feed, rate the show, and leave us a review, because that's going to help us get in front of more Ragin Cajun fans just like yourself. I'm your guy, Jamarcus Fitzpatrick. We'll see you guys next time.